where a lot of the men finally broke down. And if you think about it, it is another form of releasing energy that has been pent up for who knows how many years. And once you break down those walls, that's when a lot of the conversation can happen of really what's going on here. After leaving the corporate 9-to-5 grind, I became the boss of my own spiritual business, helping others explore and navigate the human experience from insight, wisdom, and lessons learned along the way. Today, I help aspiring spiritual entrepreneurs gain the confidence to share their gifts with the world. Welcome to the Happy Healing Shop podcast. I'm your host, Trang Pham Nguyen, and each week we'll dive into incredible stories of strength, resilience, and transformation. So, if you are ready for some serious breakthroughs, laughs and tears, and stories that will inspire you, you are in the right place, my friend. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Happy Healing Shop podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about emotions, or as someone once told me, you can see it as emotion, energy in motion. You can see it as someone's vibe or someone's feelings, right? Let's say you sit in a friend's car and you can feel the tension that they are having a bad day, even though they haven't spoken anything at all yet. That's an example of energy. Or even let's say you went through a heartache or a breakup. You feel that sadness, that pit feeling in your gut, or even this hurt in your heart. That's another way of seeing it as energy. So what are ways on how you can get through it, or how to process it or move it, or if it is stuck? And so I'm going to talk about some of tools and techniques that you can use to ground yourself. So what exactly is grounding? Imagine when you feel depressed, or you feel anxious, or you're feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes a lot is going on in our mind, even if you're laying in bed. And if you think about it, the rest of your body is completely relaxed, except for the brain. And how do we get that brain to connect with your body again? And there are multiple ways to do this, and to bring your mind back to the reality of the present moment, this exact very second. I'm guilty of thinking ahead, planning ahead, or thinking about the past. What are ways to bring the mind over to, hey, you are okay this very second that you are standing here, that you are sitting here, that you're laying down here. And I know it's much easier said than done. It's really hard to not think about the future or the problems that might be happening, because life is not easy in the system that we created in this world. But we've created a world where you need money to survive. You need money to live. Okay, so bringing back the mind to connect with your body, there are a couple ways to do this. There is movement, so that could be dancing, and it doesn't have to be, you have to take classes and train in technique. It literally can be moving around, shaking the body. There's a thing called ecstatic dancing. So how I describe ecstatic dancing is, imagine meeting up at an event and a bunch of people are dancing as if you're dancing on a wedding dance floor. You move and jiggle and wiggle however you want to release this energy, except minus the alcohol, minus any drugs. And I did this a few months ago for the first time in my life. I came alone and I did feel awkward because I didn't know what to expect. However, I realized it depends a lot on who facilitates it and also the DJ and the music. But in the end, it was like a very light workout and you just feel good afterwards. Everyone is really kind and very inviting and welcoming in that space. So again, it's called ecstatic dancing, and there's likely a group that does it in your city. Speaking of movement, you can do somatic exercises. It does not have to be intense. It can be like yoga or Taichi. It's funny with Taichi because obviously the first image I think in my head is a bunch of Asian people that are old in a park doing really slow movement that look like it could be in the Karate Kid or something like that. So I decided to try it out off of some videos on YouTube, and it seems like nothing at first, but when you kind of keep up with it a couple days, and it's only like 15 minute videos, it's still moving the flow of the energy in your body. Same thing with yoga. I just pop on sometimes a 10-15 minute video just to do some simple stretches, Sometimes there's harder workouts. I notice that I do better when I do anything that's self-care that's 15 minutes or less because of the mental aspect of, oh, I can squeeze this into my day, and it's definitely doable. And so sometimes when people say, what is the best type of exercise or self-care? Honestly, it's the one you're likely to do. And if that means you can only squeeze 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, so be it. And a friend told me how a lot of emotions and trauma can be stored in our hips, right? So when your body is stressed, think about it. When you are ready to freeze or run, your hips tense up. So sometimes doing a child's pose in yoga can make people cry because it's like releasing the emotions from there. My therapist also was telling me how animals, if you think about it, dogs especially, or other animals, they will shake after some turbulent event has happened to them, or even throughout the day. You see dogs shake all the time, or even cats stretching. They instinctively already do it where they shake off energy, or when they've tumbled down a hill, for example, they're going to get up and then they shake to shake off that energy. But however, we humans have a really terrible habit of, after going through something difficult or traumatizing, we go about our day and just keep pushing through. But that stress and tension will stay in your body until you address it. And it's hard because a lot of times people don't think their past has anything to do with their future, or I've heard a lot of times, especially from men, I want to move past from it. Or why are we talking about this issue again? Why does it have to do with my childhood? So if you want to look at it from, let's say, a scientific point of view, just plain old terms, if you have stress stored in your body will break down. You will have health issues. And those are some examples of ways you can move or even go for a walk outside, not listening to music for just 5 minutes. And I find it hard to not want to walk without music, and it definitely helps when there's a sunny day, but I remember walking and noticing the trees. And as cheesy as it sounds, noticing the trees, noticing the flowers, noticing nature, and being in awe of how this earth is created and how Mother Nature can create so many beautiful things. All right, so another way you can ground is with crystals. There's more information on our blog at www.thehappyhealingshop.com/blog, where we talk about crystals, which crystals are good for different situations or to call in certain types of energy. But from a grounding perspective, ways to use crystals and many other spiritual tools. So with crystals, it can be simple as holding one in your hand and just feeling it and noticing the temperature of it, looking at the colors. And speaking of feeling and touch, I have a free grounding meditation, which I will link down below in the show notes, where you can feel grounded in less than 15 minutes. There's also EFT, which is also known as emotional freedom technique. And this involves tapping around your body, just light tapping on your forehead, your face, different areas. And you're tapping on the meridian points on your body. And over time, it changes the subconscious. And it usually goes along with the script. So if you YouTube EFT tapping, there's plenty of free videos to learn more about it and to do these simple exercises. And what I like about EFT tapping is it takes 10 minutes or sometimes even less. And I'm all for convenience. So you can do it in the car, in the bathroom, on a quick coffee break. And someone told me that she is a fan of EFT tapping, but noticed that it's not something, and I think this goes a lot with life, it's not an overnight miracle, but she feels the difference when she's been consistently doing it over time. And there's EFT tapping for different types of scenarios. So it could be out of anger, getting over someone, self-love, etc. Another way is to find community, being surrounded with uplifting or supportive people that can see different perspectives can really help you stay grounded in what's going on in life. Or you might be able to have someone to kind of bounce ideas off of, or maybe talk through things. If you're looking for a spiritual community, I have a free Facebook group called Happy Healers, where we talk about everything and anything spiritual. In addition, I have the Happy Healing Club, which is our membership where we have active and live healing classes as well. So if you're looking for a spiritual groupie, click down below in the show notes for more information. Now, the next thing is meditation. We all know what meditation is pretty much, right? The sitting in cross-legged position, closing our eyes and breathing and trying to quiet our thoughts. A lot of people, including myself, find it really hard to meditate. But a lot of times we are meditating and kind of zoning out without realizing it. And that is where a lot of times our aha moments, the answers and ideas, our creativity comes in. I notice that I tend to do well with active meditation. If you've ever zoned out in a car driving home, that is a form of meditation. For me, I usually get downloads when I am washing the dishes, brushing my teeth, or doing my skincare at night, or that 5 seconds when I'm walking to another room. And especially when you have a huge change in your environment, such as traveling away. In episode 34, I talk more about my solo travels with my podcast guest, Leah. So traveling can bring a new sensory experience for the body, away from the influence of the same energy, the same people, and things you're surrounded by back home. It's also great when you feel like you're going through a rut in life, or even when you need a fresh perspective on things to get creative. Now, a huge favorite of mine is breathwork, and it's a bit more intensive breathing. And a lot of people discover it when they just go to a class and they say, wow, that actually really helped me, versus the quiet, soft breathing meditation. And the thing about breathwork is that it really activates a lot in the body, and the energy really moves and there's a shift. It's like meditation, but with extra spicy sauce or an extra oomph to it. It's just different ways to express that energy and to move it. When I was traveling in Central America a few years ago, I met a guy, and he was from the States but lives there now. And he was telling me how it took him years to get to this point, but he finally decided to go on a men's retreat after people kept recommending it to him. And I loved hearing his story because he was there with former prison inmates, with men from all walks of life. And I asked him what type of exercises that they did, because with men, they are socialized a lot to suppress their feelings or to be a man, to be strong, whatever the hell that means. And because of that, there's a lot of avoidance or a lot of tough walls that have been built up over time. And there has to be something to break down those walls, to allow the vulnerability to happen, to open up, and to be able to heal. So a lot of times you'll see in retreats or women's retreats, there's a lot of journaling, yoga, soft body movements, connecting. It's definitely a more soft energy. Whereas the men's retreat that he went to, there were more different exercises to try to break down that wall. And I remember one of them was where you'd be paired up with another man, and you both have large sticks, and you would not hit each other. You would hold your big sticks or staffs against each other as if you're battling, but you're holding in that position, and you scream and you yell. And this exercise sounds very, very simple on the outside, but he told me that is where a lot of the men finally broke down. And if you think about it, it is another form of releasing energy that has been pent up for who knows how many years. And hopefully they are in that space then to finally be able to unearth and undig a lot of what has happened in their past. And of course, we know there is therapy. There's different forms and specializations. So keep in mind that there might be a therapist for OCD or anxiety or PTSD, and they all have different methods. Whereas I think a lot of times people lump therapy as one size fits all, and it really isn't. There's also music or art therapy. And if you feel shame or embarrassment about seeking a therapist, you could also reframe it as getting a brain mentor. We go to the gym and work on our bodies, right? Or exercise to improve our health. Why don't we do anything to improve our brain health? Or if it makes it more inviting to you, you can call them your counselor. It's like a professional third party who is helping to see your blind spots and overcome them. Side note, some therapists do suck, and it's common for your first therapist to not be good. And because of that, a lot of people are discouraged because they don't see a difference. Personally, it took me about 3 tries to finally find one that is amazing, and I still stick with her to this day. And of course, sometimes you might need meds, and that's okay. I have seen people turn around their lives from medication. And the thing that makes me a bit irked about some people in the spiritual industry is them being anti-medication. And when you are drowning in full anxiety or depression, you literally need a buoy to be able to stay afloat. In some cases, people need to stabilize first and then finally have the space and time to explore and talk more about whatever they're going through. So when people are very anti-medication, it's hurting a lot of people. It's adding to the stigma that medication is not okay. Let's put it this way. If you have a chemical imbalance and you are miserable, a singing bowl is probably not likely to help. Now, all these techniques I have talked about in grounding yourself, they are great everyday habits to allow your body to feel good, to feel okay. However, if your body or your mind is going through a crisis, it is absolutely normal to seek and get more support. So be open, try things if you can, but I think what's great is approaching it as all these tools and modalities as being open to it. If you've never done Taichi or if you've never done yoga, there's no need to put things down either or be dismissive about it. It's like when people say that they don't like blue cheese and you're like, what? How do you know? You haven't tried it yet. But at least if you try the blue cheese, you can say yum or nah, this is not for me. And sometimes it is that journey of blending tools and techniques that you find to help you ground yourself and to help you with your healing journey. I hope this helps. Let me know what you think about this episode and if there are any other topics you'd like me to address. Again, there's more resources available at thehappyhealingshop.com/blog. If you enjoyed this episode, please take 5 seconds out of your day to give it a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify and share this episode with a friend that might find it useful. Until next time, always shine your light brightly and share your story because you never know who it can help, give hope to, or inspire to create a change in their own world. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.